In this video, we're going to show how to track labor. So I'm assuming that you've already reviewed the entire spreadsheet and the tool. So program effort is table top and so forth. We're going to enter in a new row. Let's say your initial estimate is for total labor. Of course, you could always separate this out. Since this is not a material, we'll select X. And your initial estimate for labor, your raw rate is 80 an hour, and you've got 1,000 hours. We're going to assume right now that this is a program, so our program rate is at 10%. And I'm sorry, that's not the right number. Let's delete that out. 10%. And I'm going to set a default value of 10%, not selectable. I'll just type that in. Now let's assume also this is internal labor spent in the year 2018. Well, let's say it's not going to start till 2019, so we'll select 19. I'm also going to change the default to 19 and also change the default to labor internal. Again, assuming all of this is done by labor internal, and this is a program effort. So now all the numbers have been entered. You'll see the total value for that labor rate. And now let's say the program is actually started, and you want to separate the total labor estimated versus, and I'm going to insert a new row and rename that total labor actuals. And actually now this is not estimated, this is remaining. So what we're assuming here is that the program is underway, labor only, no materials, no travel at this point. Labor remaining, the original value I think we said was 1,000 hours. So let's say you already burnt 200 hours and the rate is 80. So 1,000 minus 200 would be 800. And so we can also set, let's see, so there's no commits and actuals. So you've already spent 280 an hour, and let's say the actual numbers came out to be the same as your estimate for that is 19,360. So in the commits we can enter 19,360. I'm going to scroll back to the left, and you can see of the original 212, 21K has been committed that or spent. That 2129, if you scroll to the right, here's your 2129. Because you have not selected to include or exclude burdens, it's going to include them, yes. And so the actual value for at 10% based on 80 an hour raw rate is the 21,296. That 21,296 shows here, and here's your remaining dollars to be spent. I'm going to scroll to the right to look at the reports. So right now everything has been set to 2018. Let's see, 2018, no, we said that was all in 2019. Okay, so 2019 as shown here. So we need to change our report. We're still a program, change it to 2019, and here's our total values. I'm going to look at the print summary. Here's your totals, and you can scroll down and look at the various separation of reports and labor. If you decide that you incur or plan to add in new additional items, you can always insert a new row and say, oh, okay, now we need to do as part of this effort, I've noticed on this labor actuals this value is not set to program. I'm going to change that to program. That's going to affect the print summary, and now you'll see the totals are correct if you hadn't caught that before. Everything is in labor. There's no materials. But let's say you speak to the customer, you want to add in some new material for some testing, and so material X, and that is a material, and let's say you've already purchased it. Oh, well, you decided to purchase that on capital, and the material's already received in. We're going to change that to material received in. I can auto row height fit it to say materials received. That's also reflected back up here once we get the values in. And that material X, you bought 5 of those at 100 a piece. You'll see the extended cost, tax, and everything added. These may not be correct until you add in the correct value. You purchase those. That's not a labor. That's a material only, let's say. And it's you decided to purchase that on your own. So let's say you put that under capital. Material capital 2019. So now we have both capital and program dollars and material and labor dollars, all in 2019. Make sure, now there's generally no fee on capital, so I'm going to zero that out. I will scroll to the right to look at our reports. So we want to look at program 2019, and we've purchased some items on capital in 2019. So now you have the full values of all the capital and program. Go to print summary. Again, here are the totals separated by material and labor. Here is the material we just added, and again it's reflected down below. So right now we selected material received for that 537, but let's say we want to add one more piece of material and that we think we're going to buy, and then this number will change. So we'll go back to data entry, insert a new row, material Y. Oh, let's get that right. So it's not received yet, but we send it to the buyer, but it's not been committed yet, therefore the number is not reflected up here. We could also add in the other details for the vendor and notes, but we're going to buy one of those at $500. Again, everything is updated according to what we've set. That material Y, let's say that's also going to be on capital, so it's 0%. And that material is going to be purchased in, let's say, 2018. It's not labor. We'll change that to material only. And since we said 0, that's on capital. So now we have capital expenses in 18 and 19. So what we want to do is expand our reports. Here's program in 19 capital. I'll switch this to 18, and this I'll select as capital expense in 19. So all the numbers will automatically update. We have their totals across the board. We'll go to the print summary, and now we have for report 1, 2, and 3 all the values separated by material and labor, and then the totals. Now below, you'll see in the capital for 2018, we set one to buyer's queue, and now we see it in the buyer's queue. Further below, you can select to include or exclude. Now we have 3 reports that we want to include, and now we have everything we want to include. We can also include it on a further report below, and it'll show all the breakout of our money and where it is. So if you want to see how much money is already committed, we have commits, all other dollars. These are commits and actuals. We have a commit over here. That's because we selected it to be in either material received or PCOM. And so now here's a quick way to track labor. The key thing here is the labor. We already said in the labor we have 800 hours remaining, 200 spent. Let's say the next month, okay, now we have 600, and now this is 400 actual. All the numbers will be correctly reflected, assuming you have the settings correct, and it'll show now the updated commit values and your dollars remaining. Now if you plan for original not to exceed of 200K, or that's 20,000, let's add one more. You'll see that you're still within the budget, but the customer authorized, well, we only want to spend 200 now, but the max is 300. And so now it'll track your values, you're tracking your labor, and you've added your materials.